Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Midday in the Queen City. Business is booming. The city of Cincinnati trying to help you find an apartment, and the feds are going over the books in Florence. Let's do lunch.
Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch.
Hello, I'm Jack Crumley. Welcome to The Working Lunch. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you updates on what local companies are doing, bring you interviews with local leaders and business owners, and sometimes we try to squeeze in a bite to eat, maybe a drink before you go back to face the afternoon. Happy Tuesday. Glad to have you here with us. We are starting off with Cincinnati business headlines. Big changes in Forest Park. You've been hearing about this for a while, but groundbreaking was this morning at the former Forest Fair Mall site for a big industrial facility. The Hillman Group, that's a picture of them right there, members of the Hillman Group. It's a hardware manufacturing company, and Hillman is building a more than 700,000 square foot facility here in that Forest Fair Mall site. It's called Project Tetris, and it's going to bring together some other local Hillman operations. I suppose that's the Tetris part, right? Fitting different operations together all in the same space. Watch out for the L piece. Hopefully you get the big long one right when you need to. Forest Park and Fairfield both worked together on making this $100 million project happen to finally clear out the mall that's been closed since the year 2022. There is a reason that I wanted Cincinnati Children's Hospital to be name-checked when we start this show every day. We are incredibly lucky to have such an important and accomplished medical facility here in Cincinnati. It is consistently ranked on U.S. News and World Report's best of lists. It ranks at the top in annual surveys for pediatric cancer care, pediatric gastronomy, diabetes, and more. And we got word now that Cincinnati Children's has been chosen for a $17.25 million grant to fund autism research, one of 12 sites in the world that will be enrolling children in this new research network. Innovative Medicine and Precision Approaches to Clinical Trials Network, or IMPACT Network, is an international collaborative trying to advance new therapies for autistic people. And coming out of Cincinnati Children's, that research will be focusing on children. Dr. Craig Erickson calls it a monumental step for autism research. It involves gene therapy research and more, trying to find new ways to make sure so people with autism can better function in this world. That's going to be contributed by Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Nice work there. Jungle Gyms is announcing a new project to help make sure people aren't going hungry. Shout out to friend of the show, Mark Borison's involvement with Jungle Gyms. This Thursday is the grand opening of The Market at Impacting Tomorrow. That is in Loveland. It's a partnership with that nonprofit to expand dignified food access in the area, along with strengthening family stability and more. This year, Impacting Tomorrow is on pace to serve 200,000 guests in their market, boutique, and healthcare facilities. A variety of services being offered there. This redesigned market is specifically built to try to get rid of the stigma that often comes for people undergoing food insecurity, creating a welcoming environment that has a children's play area and more. That is all kicking off Thursday morning at the Impacting Tomorrow facility on Ward's Corner. We talk a lot on this show about Cincinnati's iconic local businesses and how some out-of-town chains have been looking to move in on their territory lately. Well, a new update on that. There is a new Publix store that's going to be opening in northern Kentucky tomorrow. Publix supermarket at Cold Spring Point is going to start selling food to its customers at 7 a.m. tomorrow. This is on Alexandria Pike, just south of the AA highway. It is the second of 5 planned Publix stores opening soon, in northern Kentucky. That is a tremendous investment in that specific part of this region. Independence, Boone County, and Hebron are all getting Publix stores of their own in the not-too-distant future. The first local Publix opened last year in the Walton area. And, of course, Spending begets more spending in the competitive grocery business world. You might remember that Kroger announced earlier this year that it's spending over $100 million locally on store improvements as part of a roughly $4 billion expansion budget for the locally based grocery chain. There is some interesting reporting by the Business Courier about a multi-million-dollar move that's going to be a big upgrade for locally owned Closets by Design. Closets by Design moving from its current 15,000 square foot facility in Blue Ash to a property in Springdale that's going to be roughly twice the size and will look like this rendering that was published. That's a rare case of a business moving out of Blue Ash. That's what the Springdale facility is at least rendered to look like. Now, I don't know. You think the designers and organizers there just lost their minds at the prospect of moving into a space that's twice the size? That's like every closet designer's dream, right? Think of how big the shoe department in that building is going to be. This new home is promising state-of-the-art manufacturing, along with expanded showroom space and more. Springdale offering some tax breaks for Closets by Design to move to town. This new facility won't just be for the closet company either. The Courier reporting that Shine of Cincinnati, a window cleaning company, also going to be taking up space in that new facility on this 3-acre site. Closing out with a product recall to let you know about, though this may not be on your shelf in your cupboard. The FDA is recalling pasta sauce sold in 41 states, including in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. This is more on the industrial production side, so think church kitchens or maybe summer camps, even school lunches perhaps. This is Alfredo sauce from the Coffee Connection company. That is Connection with an X. The 3-pound, 7-ounce product in a sealed poly bag that runs 12 bags per case, so some pretty large-scale Alfredo production. The FDA says this recall is for milk powder included in a previous recall that involved salmonella concerns, so check your larger industrial size cupboards there. Moving now into today's big bite. The end of the fiscal year is going on this month, and so local leaders need to have their budgets figured out and voted on by then. We have talked about the city of Cincinnati's plans for spending in the face of projected shortfalls and requests for funding from groups like MEMI for the Farmer Music Center. That's moving forward, and we'll have more on that later on this week in all likelihood. But today, we're going to be focusing on one of the largest suburbs in the area, the city of Florence. And weird efforts by city leaders there to get their next budget worked out. That budget planning comes as the city is under an ongoing investigation by federal agents. Okay. Yeah, I get it. Okay, hey, that's good. That federal investigation started being reported on publicly earlier this year. Take a look.
Caroline, thank you. And happening now, the FBI is investigating some revenue in the city of Florence, and now the Kentucky Department of Local Government is approving an extension for Florence's audit submission. So the city says this all comes after it discovered what it calls revenue diversion activities. Those activities supposedly started before Mayor Julie Aubuchon took office in 2023. It happened more than once. The city says it recently discovered the activity and requested a criminal investigation by the FBI. The city says it plans to share more information as soon as the FBI releases its findings.
That's the overview from earlier this year. We have learned a little bit more since then, but it is a federal investigation, so not too many people in charge are being especially chatty just yet. Those allegations of revenue diversion came from a specific part of Florence city finances, according to statements made by Mayor Julie Metzger-Aubuchon. She says they all date back to before she took office in the year 2023. That statement, posted on the city's website, says the revenue diversion happened more than once. In terms of financial audits of the city of Florence, the Inquirer found that everything came out clean in financial analysis from 2022, 23, and 24. So was there an issue with those audits that we didn't know about, or do the allegations stem from earlier than that? One other interesting bit of reporting comes from Link NKY with details on the previous finance director of the city of Florence. Linda Chapman was CFO for about 20 years, and before her time serving the city, she worked as an auditor in the private sector, and it was her work there that found a $4 million discrepancy in city funds that ultimately put then Florence CFO Ron Epling behind bars. That reporting by Link NKY also says that Chapman helped catch Covington's former finance director over a missing $800,000. Done indeed. That's all we really know right now. No one has been charged in the investigation that was launched earlier this year as of yet. The city of Florence has been granted an extension by the state on its annual audit submission. The investigation into that revenue diversion continues, and that all comes, again, as the city of Florence is looking to get its spending priorities finalized in the next 2 weeks. That's your big bites. Coming up after the break, there we go. I knew there was going to be one more. Coming up after the break, we've got Link NKY reporter Kenton Hornbeck in studio to talk about the city of Florence's budget planning, what's getting spending priorities set there, and if there is anything new from the feds. That's all coming up next. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Take a look, some stocks of local interest. Stick around for more.
Dinner! Hey.
All right.
Whoa.
Great job.
Yeah. Yeah, big win! That was great.
How'd that feel?
Intense. It was good. Kind of a fight to the death, you know? That's cool. What?
And you got
Yeah, it's cool.
and you got right back up.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
I'll tell you score the punches to go through. I was really like, I did it!
Yes. All right, go ahead and keep going. If you keep going, you can come around and score points.
We do have a game coming up, so they tend to be a little more focused and like strict.
Now this green line is what you're trying to not go out of.
Okay.
Going out, so now you have to go back behind. No, right behind our friend right here. Yeah, do it out. Yep.
Okay.
Nice. Let's go.
There's one. We went butt. Okay. Hey. I got a big old tank, baby. I think I'm better skating backwards than frontwards. Ooh, everything's fine. Oh my God! You literally. I went for boys.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Fast, hard.
Wow! Oh my God! Yeah. Really did try to go hard.
Yeah, and you could have kept like, you could have went in hard.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for The Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Welcome back to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. So we did that whole intro just now about the city of Florence trying to figure out its budget priorities amid a federal investigation into some allegations that money was diverted improperly. That is still an investigation. No one has been charged in that case. But sort of what put that story on my radar in the first place was a piece in Link NKY that Kenton Hornbeck wrote. Kenton joins me now in studio. Kenton is a reporter for Link NKY. You've been there for, what, about a year or so?
Since January 2022.
Oh, you've been there for a number of years
little
now.
while, yeah.
Sorry about that. That's about how long Link NKY's been going, right?
I started there on the first day in operation.
Great. Okay,
Yeah.
So you guys are really digging into northern Kentucky, really focusing on reporting that lets people know of just sort of day-to-day activities going on in there. You had this write-up about the city of Florence figuring out its budget priorities with this FBI investigation going on. So I guess to start zooming out, what are some of the areas that the city of Florence is looking to spend money on? This is sort of what sets the tone for the next fiscal year.
Right. So Mayor Julie Metzger-Abachan highlighted 6 key areas in her budget address that she gave a few weeks ago. That's going to be infrastructure, public safety, economic development, quality of life, transparency, and safeguarding taxpayer dollars. And that's the big one. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that here coming up. But the budget's going to kick in on July 1st at the start of the new fiscal year. The current fiscal year ends June 30th. They're projected to conduct their second reading of their budget ordinance tonight, actually.
Yeah, okay, so they're going over the readings and getting everything finalized. In those different categories, obviously public safety always takes up a tremendous amount of a city's budget. In terms of the infrastructure, has she given any sort of indication on any particular projects or anything like that she's specifically got her eye on?
Well, Florence is one of the largest cities in northern Kentucky. It's actually the second largest city by population in northern Kentucky. They own a lot of roads in that city. She hasn't really detailed too many specific projects, but with a city of that size, it's going to require a lot of day-to-day maintenance. So she highlighted about a $30 million balance that's going to be one of the city's largest capital investment accounts, and that's year over year.
Yeah.
It's generally one of the largest things the city spends money on. Another thing that's kind of tangentially related is the Municipal Road Aid Fund, which is expected to grow to about $2.3 million at the start of this fiscal year.
Okay, and my memory of the way that her sort of report on the city's finances to council and to the city went, a fairly rosy picture painted.
Yeah, she commented that she felt like everything was going pretty well. There were some categories that they needed to focus on, obviously safeguarding taxpayer dollars. They felt like they addressed that, but I'm sure we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, overall, the city is growing its revenues. Its expenditures are rising a little bit as well. They're going to be about $58 million this next fiscal year. But overall, I think Florence, their city officials seem to say that their financial picture is doing pretty well.
Yeah, I've had some representatives from the city of Florence on the show to talk about some expansion that city has seen. That 7 Brew drive-through coffee. It's got a couple locations on Dixie Highway that's been a little bit frustrating for drivers to get through. But and speaking of Dixie Highway, I think Link had a piece somewhat recently about the state of Kentucky putting a road diet for Dixie Highway on pause. That's a state project, though. That wouldn't be a city thing.
Right, that's a state project. So I believe it's US 25 or Dixie Highway. That's owned by KYTC, the state of Kentucky. Actually, I talked to the mayor a couple weeks ago. She told me that she was going to come out against the project. I actually ended up writing that piece, publishing it a couple Fridays ago. Now the state has announced essentially that that project is on pause, or they're not going to pursue it. So that's been a win, I think, for Florence, Ellesmere, Erlanger, who were pretty skeptical, all those cities were, of this plan because of the way it was rolled out.
Interesting. Yeah, well, and there are certainly, driving challenges on Dixie Highway, especially through that part of Florence. We've got
few, yeah.
one or two, yeah, right, just a couple. We've got one or two people around here who have talked about how frustrating it is to try to get through. Again, certain areas, we wish them well, that 7 Brew Coffee. It's an interesting concept that's clearly doing well, but also people lining up, and the city's instituting penalties, I believe, for the business if they don't move people through that drive-through more quickly. And that's just one isolated case.
Absolutely. And funny enough, these coffee chain businesses like Dutch Bros, which is also going to go into Florence here within the year, and then you have a couple 7 Brews, and really those kind of businesses, I didn't understand how popular they were throughout the United States.
Yeah.
My little brother loves to go to 7 Brew, but you see them, especially at the one in Newport by Newport Central Catholic High School. That backs up over onto Carruthers Lane, which is also a very heavily trafficked area in Newport. So the city of Florence, I think, is deciding, hey, we need to address this head on. The penalties for it will, of course, impact the business, and there's people who are unsure if that's the right way to go.
Yeah.
But as far as those businesses impacting traffic, I mean, anecdotally, I've seen it, and as well as others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the city of Florence making budgetary plans, making a spending outline with a federal investigation going on, that sort of presents its own challenges for local leadership, right? Certain audits are still ongoing, but yet, the business of the city moves on, and they still have to make a plan for how they want to spend the money that they assume is all okay to spend.
Yeah, and absolutely. When we talk about the audit going on, I kind of want to circle back. So at the beginning of this year, they released a press release kind of out of nowhere saying, hey, we are requesting the FBI criminally investigate our financial department.
Because we found something.
They found something, and it had been going on through a number of years, but revenue diversions was the rationale given. We have not heard anything since that initial press release. Obviously, there's plenty of media organizations around the area who are going to continue to do reporting on that. But Mayor Metzger-Abdichan wanted to address some of the revenue diversions within the budget by doing some stuff such as hiring Fort Wright-based accounting firm Dean Dorton to conduct an independent risk assessment and controls audit, kind of keep their ducks in a row. It's like, hey, go ahead and look into this, see what we got going on here. And besides that, the city's updated several job descriptions within their finance department, updated new roles and the city's pay plan, and Finance Director Jason Lewis and Mayor Metzger-Abdichan both said at these budget meetings that they wanted to enhance financial controls, improve segregation of duties, and reduce organizational risk. So that's kind of where we're at the moment, but they definitely wanted to address the ongoing FBI investigation within their budget rollout.
And that stuff that you just described there, that's the transparency category that she said were spending priorities for the city?
Yes, totally.
Okay, so now, and we don't know anything more at this point, right? In terms of what the revenue diversion is, it's been stated that this happened before the mayor was in office. Before the current mayor was in office. It happened more than once, but that's kind of all we know. And revenue diversion just means what?
Well, I think revenue diversion means taking money out of one account and putting it into another without necessarily disclosing why you actually did this or if it was necessary or not.
Yeah, and so in terms of the specifics, we don't know if that's unauthorized contracts, if it's straight up embezzlement, like it could be any number of things. We don't know the specifics because it's a federal investigation.
Yeah, you're totally right. We don't know anything about the specifics of this at this time. We just know that there's been revenue diverted from one thing to another Whether its nature is just unethical or criminal in nature, we don't really know that at this moment.
Yeah, and the mayor is promising to be transparent about it. There was a little bit in terms of some other structural changes that I know that the mayor said that they were making to the budget. They're separating out the IT budget from some larger administrative decisions, also creating a rentals fund to account for the business type activities that go on at parks and nature parks, event centers, and also the creation of an opioid abatement fund to take care of the national and state money that gets settled. I think that's a move to try to keep things looking or to be above board in the way that settlement money from various lawsuits when it comes to the opioid crisis, to make sure that's all getting spent the right way. Those might have been issues that were brewing in the run-up to this budget anyway, but certainly doing anything that they can to continue to be ethical and keep the city's finances above board is obviously a priority for the mayor.
Right, and she's focused on financial transparency. She said that many times, and I think she wants people to be under the impression that the city is going to continue to do everything it can to keep, like you said, their finances above board. With a large city or suburb, as you refer to it, within the introduction, with so many people there, you want everybody comfortable that they know they could trust you with their tax dollars.
Yeah. Kenton Hornbeck's a reporter for Link NKY. Kenton, you've been there since Link started. Again, really doing a good job of covering the day-to-day things going on in the city of in northern Kentucky. Focused on public interest in northern Kentucky is some of the wording on the publication's website. How's all that been going?
I think it's been going great, man. I really like my job. It's kind of interesting. When I started, I worked at my local newspaper, the Falmouth Outlook, which was a weekly print. It's a very small town, south northern Kentucky. I came up here and I was immediately thrown into the fire, like just going, are we good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just immediately thrown into the fire. You kind of have to take your floaties off and learn to swim a little bit. So I've been covering business and economic development for the past 3 years. Earlier this year, I switched over to the Boone County specific beat. So that's why you may see a little more coverage of Florence. I've got to interview CEOs, politicians, startup founders. I got to ask the Kentucky governor, Andy Beshear, questions, Rand Paul questions. It's been very interesting. And, I went to Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green, and I never thought so quickly out of school I'd be able to have, journalistic access to so many things. And also, going on people's shows like yours, KET, NPR, that's all been a lot of fun. So I really enjoy doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, and you're a local guy, and now you get to sort of report on what you get to report on what the heartbeat and various things that are going on in the area. Link NKY has been going since 2022, plugging along, independent reporting on what's going on, and then also recently a merge or an acquisition with City Beat.
Yeah, we bought the independent publication City Beat. I believe it was back in November. They're more arts and culture focused. I think it's called an alternative weekly in the print world, but we've had them since November. We've integrated them into our Link day-to-day processes, and I think it's been going pretty well. We're still trying to find our footing within the Cincinnati market. There's a lot more publications over on this side of the river. Over in northern Kentucky, it's kind of just us and the NKY Tribune. Sometimes you got the TV stations coming over. You obviously have the Cincinnati Enquirer covering stuff over there, but for the most part, the market is not as competitive. I think with City Beat, we're still trying to find our footing on the food beat, whether that be the arts and culture beat, whether that be, delving into more some like political adjacent, some cultural stuff. And I think we're trying to ramp that back up, and that's been going pretty well, I think, so far.
That's great. Kenton Hornbeck is a reporter for Link NKY. Again, keeping tabs on the city of Florence with the budget stuff. We will also be watching how that federal investigation goes into some possibly ill-gotten gains in the city of Florence. We are going to take a break. When we come back, the city of Cincinnati is making some moves to try to make finding an apartment easier in the city, partnering with a software company to deliver something that I've never seen a city do before. We're going to have more on that when we return. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
What part of it do you think you struggled with the most? And I don't want to know about, the intricacies of relationships or whatnot, but what about the structure of your life at the time did you really have a hard time with?
Well, I guess it would be sharing so much information about my personal life. And just in the back end of things, I just never felt like they always just wanted more. And I'm like, well, I can't be more funny. Like, this is it. And I can't be, yeah, and like I've shared like very vulnerable moments. Like, I don't know what else you want me to do. And then at a point where I'm just like, I don't know if they value me.
I was just gonna ask, did you ever feel valued or appreciated?
At some points, and by most of my coworkers, yes. By some people in the building, like we just wouldn't see eye to eye. And I think that's gonna happen anywhere. It happens.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was mad, and I'm like, I can't give you any more than what I'm giving, okay? And for a long time, I was just like, wow, I worked at this radio station, I gave them my life, and I wasn't good enough, and then I get let go. What do I do now? And for a moment, I was frustrated and upset, and like rejection sucks. But now I'm just like, they did me a favor. And honestly, like I grew so much in that time, I wouldn't have had social media. And now I'm like making a small business out of
You're
that.
the social media queen.
Thank you.
As somebody who went from 0 to 100, and you like really lean into it. I look at people like you, and I'm like, you like really lean into it and love it and do it well. And it's so great.
You're really sweet to say that, because then, just like the voice in your head, it's like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not creating enough. I need to post a picture today. I'm not gonna post a picture because it doesn't feel authentic. And then I overthink for 45 minutes. And so then it's like,
dude, the pressure to post every day. I haven't thought about that.
I think I should get bangs. What do you guys think? And I'm like, that's the post?
It's a great post.
Yeah, I'm not getting bangs.
But thank God. Okay.
Every morning, Cincinnati wakes up and gets to work. Companies are built, deals are made, restaurants open, ideas become careers, and every day the people behind it all sit down at the working lunch. Founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, community leaders, the people building Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays, noon to 1, only on The Crown.
Welcome back to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We are moving on now to some business in the city of Cincinnati. It was recently announced, I believe last year, that the city of Cincinnati was offering a website where people could find listings for apartments. It's verified through the city of Cincinnati. That was all powered by software from a company called CityWise, based out of Milwaukee. And we are joined now by the COO of CityWise to talk about that collaboration and some various plans that are going forward. I think this is really interesting. Jeremy Schmidt is the COO of CityWise Software. Jeremy, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jack. Excited to talk about this.
Yeah, I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. You are partnered with the city of Cincinnati, and you've created this website, which the URL, I don't know if there's an easier way to get to this site, but it's apartments.cincinnati-oh.gov, which might want to work on a better URL, but that's none of my business. In terms of what you're providing to people, though, the idea that this is a website that lists open apartments, a lot of details about them, and it's all verified. That's a really unique partnership.
Yeah, so we've been working with Cincinnati since last December. We launched the site with Mayor Purival at a press conference, I think December 5th or 6th of last year. And we've had about 35,000 folks come through the site since then looking for rentals. What we really try and focus on is providing an alternative to renters so they can find more of kind of the middle market housing, the affordable housing. I think the last time I checked, about 70% of the listings on our site were at the fair market value for 1 and 2 bedroom or below. So a big goal for us is going out and working with kind of the local groups, the mom and pops, the folks that have, you know, not necessarily 400 or 500 units. They just have a couple buildings or, you know, some duplexes, single family homes, and kind of making it easier for renters to find their housing, because that's always a huge challenge to find that, you know, that pretty affordable kind of middle market housing for renters.
Yeah, it's always a challenge. Finding a place is always a challenge. And speaking personally, I know that I had a situation years ago when I was looking for a new apartment. I happened to find a listing that was on, I think, Craigslist that ended up being someone who didn't really have that apartment. They didn't own the property. And, you know, all that scammy stuff out there is everywhere when it comes to people specifically looking to rent. It's an issue in the housing sales market, but certainly renters have a lot of choppy waters to have to navigate. And this takes care of that, at least gives it a good bit of verification. When they're looking at it, they know it's good.
Yeah, so our team, we work with every single rental that comes on. So this isn't like Facebook Marketplace or like Craigslist where anybody can just go post anything and, you know, there's security deposit scams out there and stuff like that. We work with all the groups that are coming on. We work even with the single family homes. I was communicating with some of them just earlier this morning. So we're a partner to all of them. Adding that level of kind of, you know, verification and having to work through a human on stuff really has done wonders to prevent scams. We've been working on platforms like this for almost 15 years, and that's been a key to kind of avoiding any of those sorts of issues ever popping up.
Now, how does that work for you guys on the software side of things? Is it automatic stuff that checks for like the telltale signs of something scammy, or is it like having a person really go in there and checking out all the different listings?
Yeah, we get kind of automated notifications about new listings that are, you know, trying to be added. Nothing can go active without somebody on our team taking a look at it. But typically the way it works is when a landlord wants to add a property, they reach out to our team, and then our team communicates with them. So it's a pretty human focused situation. And you know, that's kind of been the key. If you're running scams, the last thing you want to do is have to talk to a human about it. So that's kind of what we've always found has been the way to prevent that from happening.
I think it's interesting when you first do go on the website, which again is apartments.cincinnati-oh.gov. Right away, there is a disclaimer that comes up, seemingly from the city, that talks about how the city's not vouching for the quality of these places. It's not accountable for, nor does it endorse or manage any external links. But like the one thing that you know you can trust on this site is the idea that these are legitimate listings.
They are legitimate listings, and kind of the way it works is we partner with cities because our goal is to kind of make a platform that's easy to find. If you look historically, a lot of cities have put up platforms so people could especially find housing that's income qualified housing, housing that's kind of public housing or owned by the city. I mean, you'll have always associated government websites with that housing. So we're trying to broaden the kind of where the reach of the city is. And by working with the city and putting it up on the Cincinnati-oh.gov domain, it actually becomes really easy to find on Google. So if you Google apartments for rent in Cincinnati, you're going to see this on the first page. And it just becomes something that is easy to find. And if more renters are finding it and more renters are using it, then more landlords want to become a part of it too. So cities have always wanted to kind of help provide resources to renters looking for housing. It's just a matter of how do you do that? How do you make it easy to find? How do you make sure people are engaging with it? And that's where, you know, we have 15 years of experience building platforms like this and making them engaging, and then being able to give our partners, you know, information about usage and kind of what's going on in the city and making this a beneficial thing for the whole community, renters, city, and landlords.
Yeah, and you know, in terms of speaking of getting the word out and letting people who are looking to rent know that there is a trustworthy website to go to, and also getting out the word to landlords with properties on the best way to list things, you guys have a housing fair coming up later this month.
Yeah, June 27th at Washington Park. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We've had a couple dozen property groups committed to it. We're really excited about this. This is our first housing fair that we've done with a city partner. We've done, probably a couple hundred of these, maybe a few hundred of these at universities nationally. Previously, we worked on partnering with universities on having housing platforms. And this is a really common thing at the university level. Well, we're trying to take that same idea and the same kind of concept of making it easy to find housing in person as well as online and take that to the city level as well. So Washington Park, huge park, great event space. Lots of people going to be walking by there. It sounds like it's going to be a very, very busy day downtown. And we just want it to be easy for, if you're a renter and you're walking by and you see all these tables set up, you can go talk to, 10, 15 landlords all at once, get an understanding of what's out there, and kind of even do virtual tours. And, maybe if you really like it, you submit an application on site. We've seen that many times at the university level. So we're trying to take that same kind of, the community aspect of finding housing in college and take that to the cities as well. And the landlords and the folks we've talked to in Cincinnati have been really receptive. We have a little thing on that website where you can sign up to receive information. And we've had almost 500 folks already sign up to get a reminder day of so they can attend the event.
That's really great. And the idea, too, that, again, that it's all verified is super helpful. How did you guys come to have this partnership with the city? There have been comments from the mayor that this website isn't like costing the city anything. How does this partnership work? How did it begin?
Yeah, so we started reaching out to the city, I want to say like fall or winter of 2024. And we had conversations throughout the year last year. One thing I always say is that, we've reached out to a lot of cities. We've started a lot of these conversations nationally. Of all the cities we've reached out to, the folks, the city staff, from the council to the city staff on up, Cincinnati's just been very receptive to having conversations. It seems like it's been kind of a city staff that is looking for ideas and looking to embrace ideas and kind of come up with solutions. I know that the mayor's team has been focused a lot on affordable housing, and I think this kind of fit right up the alley of what they were looking for. So we talked throughout last year, kind of worked everything out. The structure of the website is, the larger landlords that do participate in the website, they pay a small fee, and it's really a fraction of what they would pay to like a Zillow or an apartments.com. Any of the mom and pops or the small apartments, there's no cost to them. There's no cost to the city. The whole thing is kind of based on this idea that because we're working with the city, we can make this website easy to find. We don't have to go out and spend millions and millions of dollars on marketing and then, pass those costs back off to the landlord and then the renter. That's kind of the problem that we've seen with the private market to date. So that's what we're trying to solve. And that's why, we did this first at the university level, over 150 universities nationally. We took that same model and now we're applying it with cities. And I think Cincinnati's been the first really, really great, strong example of the success something like this can have.
Yeah, I was curious on how how the selling of the website works and what it looks like in terms of, the seeming competitive nature with things like you mentioned, apartments.com and others. Is it the idea that you guys are trying to keep things focused and a little bit more government related for the credibility side versus just trying to charge a landlord to sell?
Well, we're making a website that's super easy to find. And if renters are coming to find a website, landlords want to be a part of that. And that's what we've seen. That's been true, since the beginning of time, since the beginning of any websites, really. So our team, they really work to build relationships and get to know the folks and the landlords and the communities in Cincinnati. And, we've just kind of understood, what their pain points are. And we continue to improve and adapt this website all the time. There's more stuff coming. Every week we roll out new updates and features to improve the experience for both the renters and the landlords. But our team, we just go out, we're in Cincinnati almost every month at this point, having conversations with landlords and just making sure things are working for them and kind of building those relationships.
I feel like you guys really are filling a sort of a hole in the market and letting landlords know specifically that if they go with you guys, it's going to be legitimate listings and vice versa, too. I wasn't trying to make too big of a deal about how this is something that I think is pretty cool that I've never heard of going on anywhere else. Is this a relatively unique and new thing? Cincinnati's a decently sized city. Are you guys partnered with a lot of other cities?
I think Cincinnati was the 7th city that came on board, and it was the first one that was, of its size, of a top, 50 city. So yeah, this is a pretty new concept. We've been doing this with cities for about 2 years. We're up to about 30, between 25 and 30 right now. We've recently partnered with Lexington, Louisville nearby.
Sure.
Milwaukee County, like I said, was the first one that we partnered with because we had a lot of history working with the universities there. But it is a new concept. And, I think a lot of people are still getting familiar with the idea. And I think a lot of people initially, when they see that a city's got a housing website, they think it's only for kind of the public housing. And I think we're working to kind of educate and inform people on that what we're trying to do is really help the people who are looking for rentals that are hard to find. Even now, it's 2026. And if you talk to the average renter, hey, how did you find your place?
Right.
A lot of times they're going to say, oh, a friend of mine told me about it, or I was driving around and I saw a sign on a building. And, I think it's great that people are still getting out there and driving around and finding things in real life. But we want to build the biggest possible database that has all that stuff that you used to only be able to find if you were driving around. We don't want it to just be, the brand new buildings and the larger buildings. We want to have it totally all inclusive and really make it something that every renter in Cincinnati can find what they're looking for on it.
Yeah, and certainly you understand this market. Cincinnati is very much the kind of city where a given neighborhood will just put a sign out front if one person owns one of those four-banger apartments that just put the sign out front, and that the fish are going to come and nibble on the line. It's nice that you guys have something that's pretty well verified and has a bigger reach than just driving around at the right place at the right time. You guys also list some really interesting stuff on individual listings. There's ratings for things like walkability, in addition to talking about what the rent is, what the square footage is, and various amenities within the apartment itself.
Yeah, we try and improve those listings all the time. And, our goal is to kind of keep building this up, keep adding more interactive features that are relevant. We want to pull in, Bank of America headquarters is nearby, or Kroger is nearby, or any of the large employers in town, University of Cincinnati. What's the distance to those? How far would that drive be? I want to find something highlighted around one of those top employers. What are those places that are nearby that? So those are all things that are coming down the pipeline. We're a company that has prided ourselves on continuing to innovate, continuing to build our platforms, our software, and the focus is making this the best thing that we can. And by listening to our partners in Cincinnati, we've learned quite a bit, and we want to make sure that we're doing our best to get them all the information they need, and then make a better experience for renters as well.
Jeremy, that's great. Jeremy Schmidt is the COO of Citywise Software, a company that has partnered with the city of Cincinnati to create a website that shows verified, legitimate listings for apartments all throughout the city. That website, once again, is apartments.cincinnati-oh.gov. That's the Citywise Software site there. And again, if you Google through, you'll be able to see various listings in terms of what's available in the city of Cincinnati. And then again, if you are a renter, if you are a landlord, you can go to this housing fair that they've got going on Saturday, June 27th at Washington Park from 10 to 2. If you are looking maybe to connect in person after you see things on the site. Jeremy, is there anything else you want to make sure people know about?
June 27th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you want to find the website, you can just Google Cincinnati Apartments or Cincinnati Apartments for Rents. You'll see it on the first page. Use it, love it, get to know it. Glad to be here, glad to help everybody.
Jeremy Schmidt with Citywise Software. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
We are going to take a break. When we come back, going to close up with a couple of things that I noticed. We'll give you the results of a pretty big awards show and what it means for any folks locally. All that and more coming up next. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you these stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the Working Lunch, Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. First Word for your morning sports, Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, the Working Lunch for business that hits home, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. Cincinnati sports fans are the best. Loyal, passionate, second to none. This city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Erpine, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts We break down the biggest moments and set the agenda for the city. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett join me to bring the insight and energy you need to start your day. The conversation starts with First Word. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm doing it. How do you think I'm doing so far?
You're doing really good. Really good. You already got your shifting points down and stuff. You're able to shift, start it, brake, all that. You're standing up over the bumps, which is what we want to do, and
Essential.
you've already got your crashes out of the way, and you're tough, so you're doing great.
I must say, I'm like on a 110, which is like what little kids ride, and I'm like in gear 1, okay? And even in gear 1, I'm like, okay, you can do this, And now I'm on gear 2,
Yeah.
So excited. One day I'll get to gear 3. But the main goal, I don't know, I really want to do a jump and like get some air and land it. So that's what we're gonna do now on this one.
Yeah.
I think I can do it. If anything, I think I'm gonna send it regardless. That's
You're gonna send it regardless?
I'm feeling confident right now. See what
Alrighty, you want to be prepared for the landing is the biggest thing. Like,
Okay.
you don't want to hit and like lose your arms off the bars and just like crash. So
I'm just gonna cruise. Cruising! Woo!
I think with just a little bit more speed, you can maybe get some air.
You got it. Bad bitch. Okay. Hey! Woo!
That was sick.
That was cool.
What do you think?
That was so much fun.
So much fun?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Thank you so much, Scott, and everyone at East Fork MX. East Fork MX, I've had a blast. My adrenaline is high. I understand why everybody does it, no matter what age. I mean, just start it. Brett, thank you so much. From our very own pro. Actually, how many pro bikers, pro motocross racers are there in the Cincinnati area?
Not so many. I think we have a couple, in Ohio. I think there's, maybe 4 or 5 total in Ohio.
Wow,
So,
and you're one of them.
Yeah.
What royalty today. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, dude.
Of course, it was fun, and thank you for having me. I had a blast, and I always love, sharing my passion with other people. So
Yeah,
it's fun.
man. It's pretty rad.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We are wrapping things up here on a Tuesday. Do have a couple other things I want to let you know about. One bit of media business that came out just recently. This was really just a matter of time. Fox Corporation. Now stay with me. This is complicated because we're getting into media companies now. Fox Corporation is the TV part of 20th Century Fox that had to be spun off when Disney acquired 20th Century Fox back in 2019. Anyway, Fox Corporation is now getting into the streaming business. How many of you have seen that purple Roku screen on your TV? Fox is looking to buy Roku for $22 billion in a deal that would also include the free streaming platform Tubi. This all would put Fox Sports and Fox News onto Roku's connected TV platform, along with the Roku channel and some other streaming outlets. Roku just announced its first full year of profit just in the year 2025. Roku has been in the streaming game since 2002. It's been around for a while. It took them this long to turn a profit. We've certainly seen headlines about other companies that have streaming services that haven't yet turned a profit, but they keep throwing money at it because that's where they're trying to grow a subscriber base. It's been a real challenge for some outlets. Fox CEO Lachlan Murdoch calls this a defining moment for his company as the Fox Corporation again looking to buy Roku. Also, the James Beard Awards were held last night. These are the top awards in the restaurant world. Think like the Grammy Awards or the Oscars, but for restaurants. We had 3 Cincinnati area chefs who were nominated. Jeff Harris is the chef/owner of Nolia, Sarah Dworak of Sudova, and also Dave Wilcox, the chef/owner of the Baker's Table. Cincinnati's restaurant scene has been getting noticed for more than a decade now. City Beat says the last local restaurant to win a James Beard Award was in the year 2000. Anybody for? Do we know? Do we take a stab at what the last James Beard Award winner was back in the year 2000? Camp Washington Chili. That's not a joke. Camp Washington Chili won the James Beard Award for American Regional Classic, which is still extremely cool. In terms of the James Beard Awards that were given out last night, I'm sorry to say that none of the local nominees came home with a win. Here's a little bit of fashion from last night's James Beard Awards. People get dressed up. People like to get dressed up. It's a lot of fun. I do not want to play up too much on the fact that local chefs didn't win. I think it is a tremendous honor to be nominated. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it's really true. Continuing to put Cincinnati's restaurant scene on the map. Congratulations to you. Keep up the good work. We're certainly enjoying all of the work that you're doing. Hey, that does it for us here on The Working Lunch today. You know, there's a bunch of ways that you can watch the show or listen to the show if you didn't know about it. Obviously, we're on your TV on 19.3 and Alta Fiber and also on Spectrum. You can see us streaming on YouTube. There's also a way to get a live audio feed of the show. That's on Mixlr. If you Google Mixlr, you can find that. Also, of course, Spotify and Apple Podcasts are places that you can podcast audio of the show. Follow us on socials, The Working Lunch Cincinnati, Working Lunch CIN. Any version of that is what you'll find on various platforms like X the Everything app, where we do all of our banking. I'm Jack Crumley. That is our show for today. We will be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching.